Hey everybody, it's Joe Trippi, and welcome back to That Trippi Show with my co-host Alex Ashlow. We're back in video form this week, and we have lots to get into. We follow up on No Kings and go from California redistricting to Trump literally tearing down the White House. Literally. Alex, where do you want to get started?
Well, let's start with No Kings. I know we got some numbers we're excited to talk about, but from what I saw, something like 5 million plus turned out this past weekend.
I think the reports are 7 million, and that's
7 million plus. Yeah. That's pretty good. Wasn't 10, but pretty good. No real or none of Mike Johnson's predicted hate America violence came in, etc. I saw some stuff about how Republicans were claiming that people were paid to show up. Joe, I did not get my check for showing up. I don't know if you did or cash.
Neither did I. But the hate America thing, the hate America crowds, like it's hard to do that when people are chanting USA, USA, singing together, God bless America and America the Beautiful, and veterans showing up, some of them in wheelchairs with an American flag, posted in their wheelchair, carrying with them. I don't know. It was none of that. It seemed to me the juxtaposition of what the Republicans were trying to claim this thing was, what the coverage and what really happened. And then combine that with Donald Trump's AI-generated fighter pilot dude dropping sewage on everybody. I think the contrast did not work out so well for Trump and MAGA. And I think evidence of that. But I also think, by the way, the last No Kings was 5 million, Alex, and I'm pretty sure that the more accurate counts are now this one grew to 7 million. And I think that's important too. But more important about the number was the kind of gleeful fun activity. I mean, the way this
it was fun. There was singing and dancing and fun inflatables. The signs were fun. It actually kind of reminded me of like college game day, like the crowds with the funny signs. Yeah.
It was humorous. And it poked fun and ridiculed Trump and what's going on, and did it in a way that is welcoming to other people joining it. In other words, it wasn't like angry and gosh, I want to stay away from there because there might be, stuff might break out. None of that happened. And I think that's significant because remember the 3.5 rule, we got to grow this thing to 12 million, 3.5% of a population rising in nonviolent protests together has altered the direction or caused authoritarians to fall. And that it's more than that goal, though, because I think this thing could literally move into millions of Americans engaging and taking real action in the 2026 election in terms of you're willing to come out to these, what I'm hoping for. I've been talking about this is that early next year, when like 12 million show up, that it's all that No Kings is actually kind of a sign up to work in the 2026 elections. So that in that county, if there's a district that can be flipped, work on that for the rest of the year. But I think, this thing can really go places, and I think I think that the Republicans and MAGA and Trump just totally misplayed this.
I mean, it did seem pretty much across the board like growth. I remember the Lincoln Project did a survey of our members. I think 65% Lincoln Project members attended a No Kings protest, which is awesome. What I thought was interesting was over half of them said they brought at least one friend. So that's a great sign. I know you've been hitting that point home. I know we still have work to do, but it goes back to your point about people having a good time too. If you're going, and by the way, the weather was terrible in a big chunk of the country.
A lot of places, yeah.
If people are still out in the rain, singing, dancing, having fun, not getting attacked by ICE, which is also a good thing, good good signs. Joe, we have a lot of numbers to get to today. We have a ton. I know something you pointed out right before the call, but I wanted to start with a listener question. We were sitting on this one for about a week, still very relevant. And Joe, you have some numbers about it. This is from Scott in Louisiana. That should give our readers or our viewers a clue. SCOTUS may overturn the redistricting, giving Louisiana a second black majority district. If they come for this, what's next? Should I be worried about next year? Let's come back to the what's next and talk about the next year first, Joe.
Well, I think there's something wrong with the question. It won't be giving Louisiana a second black.
Sorry, taking it away, I think, is what he was going for. Yeah,
that's what he was going for there. No, I just wanted to make sure I got it right.
No, it's the redistricting giving Louisiana. So SCOTUS is overturning the second district. He was right. We just parsed it wrong.
I understand. I'm just what's fascinating is that today, Quinnipiac, as we're recording this, Quinnipiac has put a new poll out nationwide that has Democrats running for Congress in the generic ballot defeating Republicans by 9 points, which is practically unheard of. And there was another poll yesterday that said it was 8. So we're now seeing.
I mean, there is even another one. I think Harry Enton was talking about it on the Beast. I think it was +7 for Democrats.
Right. So no matter what else is going on about shutdowns or anything else, the differential on the generic is expanding for Democrats. And what's fascinating about that, and to answer your question, Scott, there was the New York Times did an estimate of what percent of the national vote Democrats would need under different redistricting scenarios. And if I remember correctly, they had modeled that to win with the Republicans getting the Texas 5 seats, California winning 5 seats back for Democrats, but then the Republicans still running a couple more in some of these other states, that Democrats would have to win by the popular vote by 1.4, 1.5, something around in that range. And then they ran the numbers based on, okay, if the Supreme Court wiped out, totally busted up the Voting Rights Act in a way that wiped out the majority districts out there, that all the states, did what they could to remove those districts, that Democrats would have to win by 6 points nationwide to overcome that, all of that. I mean, in other words, they get everything. They get all the districts that they're redistricting in Texas and other places. They get all the districts that the Supreme Court would allow basically demolishing the Voting Rights Act. It would be 6. When you look at that, first of all, we have to see if any of that happens or all of it happens. But what's going on right now is the American people are saying 7, 8, 9%, giving us the kind of lead we're going to need in November of 2026 to take the House. But here's the thing, I think, that gets to what Alex was saying about everybody went to the rallies and and with Lincoln Project people said over half of them said they brought one friend. It's really, those are the numbers that count. So if you went and you brought one friend, go and bring 2 next time. If you brought 2, bring 4. And that gets to this question too, because if we're up by 8 or 9 in the generic now, it's not about just sort of beating the games that they're going to play. We need to build such a margin that the way to defeat Trump and MAGA so that it doesn't just reappear in J.D. Vance or somebody else, because it will be, and it probably Trump intends to stay, is to demolish them at the polls and overcoming all the crap that they're going to pull. I mean, 10, 12 points is what we need to defeat them by. And right now, they're helping. I mean, with just the stupidity of Trump flying around and dropping sewage on Americans that were participating in fun rallies to protest what he was doing, and it was a self parody, I think, that is going to
Right.
hurt them even more.
Well, and then you look, by the way, Prop 50 in California, which is the redistricting prop that could give them emergency powers to
Yeah,
redistrict to basically counteract Texas. It's up like 20, 25 points, depending on which poll you look at. There are some levers Democrats are pulling right now that could
right.
make that, whether you need somewhere. If I had to put my predicting hat on right now, and I don't have it on, but I will, somewhere between 1.4 and 6 feels right in terms of what they're
Yeah,
going to need. Like
yeah.
and
But what
if
I'm
they're
saying
anywhere
is,
north of that,
yeah, no, I'm saying we have to get more. I want to double to 6. And it was okay. 1.4 to 6 is what we need. We need to get to. I want to get to 12. I mean, we need as a movement, as people who are listening to this and working on this now, who are going to these protests, who want to end this thing. It's gonna. We want to get to 12
right?
because it won't. It's not just overcoming the crap they're going to pull. It's sending I mean, it's us telling the world, no, we're not going to stand for this, and we're not standing for it, and you're
Well,
out of here. And by
let's
the way,
talk
that
about, yeah.
number, the higher those numbers, that 6 number and above, that's the Senate, baby. Those are numbers. You start getting 6, 7, 8 points. You're starting to put the Senate into real
No,
play.
then
That's
we're,
what you do.
then we're winning in places like Missouri and
Right.
down ballot races in Wisconsin. I mean,
Well,
there's
but
all
that's what we
kinds
have
of,
to
yeah.
do. And
Well, think about
it's
it.
going to get over the fear of what these guys are doing. That's what they want. They want fear. They want people to, and that's what I think the No Kings, they wanted to instill fear, basically intimidate people. Troops in the streets, all that stuff to keep people, don't, and then say it's all hate America, basically don't go to these things. And instead, 7 million people went and had fun doing it. And I think that's a really powerful message to the next 3 to 4 to 5 million Americans who we want to try to get out there, that you're not alone. And we need to get our friends, our family members, and our coworkers to attend with us.
So you mentioned 12. I think you're talking about the 12 million, but to get to 12%, to take that 6 that we would need in terms of party ID or whatever the composite of the electorate is, you'd really have to see some numbers from what's going on under the hood with the economy. This is a long segue, but it's a segue, Joe, damn it.
Yeah.
You'd have to see that what's going on under the hood was, as we started talking about last week, was getting worse and worse. And I gotta say, between when we talked about last week and today, I figured I'd kind of see more of the same. But what we've seen since, these numbers are getting worse by the day, and I haven't seen him pivot out yet. I mean, think about it. You've got, by the way, the shutdown hasn't started really raising prices yet. Premiums haven't started going up, which they will in like a week and a half.
Right.
I mean, it's really bad for Trump. Really bad.
Well, no, but the way to expand this is look, it's not going to be. First of all, you got to look. If you look underneath the hood, it's not going to be because there was some kind of big expanded move among Democrats. We're already like into the 90s, and he's in single digits on approval with Democrats. It's not a whole lot of room left with independents because they're down to 23% approval. I think they're in the high 60, 63, 67%. We could maybe, I mean, again, only 23% approval, so maybe you get to 75 there. That might squeeze out another point or two. But with Republicans all still being in the, anything he does on Madison, shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue, he must have had a good reason. Still being, yes, like 16% don't approve, but still being pretty solid. It's breaking into some of those groups, whether it's the Red Dawn Republicans. I mean, we've talked about other groups. One of the groups, though, that I think could still break are farmers in rural America, because I think as rural hospitals are shutting down, as farmers who are losing, losing total markets. I mean, soybeans, they can't move anything. Uh, China's not buying anything because of the tariffs. We've bailed out Argentina with $40 billion. Argentina's selling soybeans to China, so that's picking up that market. The beef grower, they're in pain for a lot of the same reasons. And so one of the things that I know people have been talking about, for how do you expand this? Well, one of the ways to expand it next No Kings is to actively try to talk to farmers about, getting on their tractors and surrounding the state capitol building in every state that they're in as part of the next No Kings. I mean, those start to recruit and show the rest of America that sort of like the antithesis of what Johnson and the gang were trying to do. Not hate America people at all. We are the American people, and we can expand that visually and in a way that keeps this idea of welcoming more and more people into this movement to change course. And so I do think there are things out there that could like that idea. That comes from Sam Brown. Sam Brown, by the way, as a young man in 1969, led the anti-war on the mall, rally in Washington D.C. of over 1 million people, and was noted. I mean, one of the things he had done was exactly that. Was he had really concentrated how you bring farmers and pastors into the movement. And I think that's sort of the next thing we all should be talking about is who do we know that our ministers, who we can get to bring more of America into this movement.
So let's talk specifically about some of those numbers, though, and I think this gets to something you said last week. So if you look at a poll and then you look at the composition of a poll, so you talked about Quinnipiac. This is a CNBC poll, which bipartisan. It was public opinion surveys on the red side, and then I believe it was another Hart Research poll. So, I trust what they're throwing down. First of all, I want to preface this: the sample size. 40% Democrats, 38% Republicans. So a little bit more Democrats. Remember, at the top, Joe mentioned the electorate could be 50-41. So in an electorate that 50 or 40-38 with 22% independents, and this comes back later, these numbers for Trump are staggering. Approve, disapprove on inflation, the cost of living, 34.62. Those are the worst numbers anyone has polled during his second term. He's 15 points under on tariffs. Just those two numbers, and I haven't even gotten at the overall economic number yet.
Yeah,
if you go back and
the overall economic number is, oh boy. So
only 27% say it's good, and 72% say just fair or poor. 32% say it'll improve. 46% say it'll get worse. So there's 38% of a baseline of the people he absolutely needs to get. He is not getting anywhere near 38 on any of these numbers, and that's assuming that every single independent and every single Democrat are in lockstep on the other side, which they're not. But we're saying if you've got 38% Republicans and only 34% of America approves of what you're doing on inflation, you are bleeding everywhere.
Well, no, this is how you do get to the numbers I'm talking about, though, because as I said, look, there's not a whole lot of Democrats left in terms of movement. Got to get them out. There's not a whole lot of room of independents to grow. He's 23% favorable with them. It's something I have not seen. Not even Jimmy Carter, I think, was doing that bad with independents. And I did point out, hey, he's still got a whole bunch of, the Republicans favorable. You cited that there's lack, the number is low even with them on the economy. So what'll be interesting is it's not so much converting them, although I think, like I said, with farmers and others in rural America, we may be able to make some inroads. But how many of them stay home? How many of them just say, I mean, have had enough too by the time we get to November of 2026? That's how you get to I mean, it's moving them over, and it's them, because nothing's going to get better here. I'm sorry to say. Unfortunately, the inflation is going to continue. The tariffs are going to continue to put hardship on a lot of us, and particularly farmers and I think rural America in terms of the impact, and then all the other things, the cuts in Medicaid that are shutting down rural hospitals. I mean, all this stuff it's all going to be more of an anchor around his numbers. I don't see a whole lot of room for relief there. And then even the things that we've talked about, like, hey, he deserved all the kudos for the ceasefire. How long? It doesn't seem to be. We all want it to hold.
It didn't stick.
Yeah, I don't think it'll stick on his numbers no matter what. I just don't see. Again, because that's happened. That has happened, and you don't see any lifting in his favorables on anything.
Well, and that's where, I mean, we've seen this before, where we've been on the other side of trying to defend a foreign policy accomplishment when everything domestically is going so badly. I mean,
well, we've seen it trying to tell people they've got the jobs numbers are great when they don't feel it, and when they kept giving us these kinds of numbers of how they felt. So that's what I'm saying. I just don't see how what in the future scenario is going to change that mood. But on top of that, we still have the problem of alligator Alcatraz. The fact that some
I'm glad
big
you went
number,
here.
31% of the Republicans don't think ISIS being tough enough, not doing enough as it is. So he keeps having to feed that beast. Like, I think that's what the dumping crap on people from a phony AI generated fighter jet was about. Look to that 31% who want more cruelty. He's feeding them with alligator Alcatraz and bullshit. But the problem with that is that's what's driving independents to 23% approval and into 67, 70 disapproval. So he, again, even that, if he lets up on that stuff, maybe those people are the ones that stay home. I don't know. I just think that we need to keep the pressure on. We need to keep growing.
Right.
We need to keep pushing. These are all positive things that are going on. And I thought the No Kings rally was really a big moment. But we have to make the next one an even bigger one. And then in the spring, convert those millions into people who aren't showing up at a rally, which they should keep doing, but are prepared to take this to the doors, to their neighbors, and sign up to register people, to get people out, and to sign up for campaigns out there where they live and are working to win that election in 2026 in a very, very big way.
So let's get to two quick ones before we run out of time here.
Sure.
One, we do have to talk about what Trump is doing to the East Wing. This is from Stephanie in California. I'm seeing the photo of Trump's bulldozers tearing down the East Wing everywhere. Is this the enduring image of his presidency? Does it matter? And how can we make it matter?
Oh, no, this one I think matters. I think this is up there with burning the flag. I mean, in terms of the visceral impact that I'm hearing from people, not in a partisan way. I mean, I think the White House, misunderstood the iconic kind of. It's like the flag. It's like it's something that all of us have grown up and seen presidents, Republican and Democrat, and cherished it. And I think this has really offended and caused people I mean, real disgust in a way that a lot of other things he does like this, he can get away with. This one is, I think, has hit a nerve. And the other thing I think about this is now if you actually start from the place of January 6th and those people going up to the Capitol and smashing those windows and breaking through and destroying people's offices and making people literally run for their lives, putting nooses out there to hang pins. And you then take that to these people who were picked up off the street with no due process and shipped to a gulag in El Salvador, and some of these people, citizens, being thrown to the ground, mistakenly assumed to be somebody that should get shipped to a gulag, and the way they've been the ICE has been handling this, and in the masks and everything. And then you take it to like, what did you expect he was going to do to the White House? This is where this was all going. It's about Doge taking out, firing, just destroying, demolishing whole departments with little thought to anything. I think this is kind of the image of the entire wraps up the entire Trump presidency to this point. It makes it all make sense, hopefully to a lot more people. And so because of what that White House represents, like it represents the flag, like the flag burning to those same people that I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about the right to free speech here. I'm just talking about the level of offense that something like that causes people. And I think this is one of them.
All that construction work, and my first thought, this is just where I am in the year 2025, was I hope they are getting paid up front. Trump is not super great at owing people money and actually paying.
Well, that's still the other thing. I hope they're getting paid up front, but who's paying them? One, he says, "Oh, this is all money that's been donated." Okay, so now $230 million, or whatever it is, been donated to build the thing, supposedly. What did those guys get for that? I mean, I don't think they were doing it to build a ballroom, right? I mean,
no, they just wanted the view. This is like, we don't know what merger and acquisition just got approved in exchange for $30 million to build his ballroom. I mean, it's again, bribery out in the open. And it's to destroy, basically, to destroy the White House. I mean, this thing is going to be be bigger than the damn White House itself. Anyway, I just think it goes down to me as like on so many different fronts that it sort of wraps up the corruption, the destruction. And I think, like I said, I think this is in a way offensive to many, many Americans, many of them who may be Trump supporters, in a way that he didn't offend them with everything else, including dropping crap from his jet on demonstrators. They might not have even seen that. A lot of the terminal online versus not. I mean, this is the White House being ripped apart.
No, they're going to see that. Then they're going to see the other thing too. I mean, come on, they're pushing that into feeds like there's no tomorrow, just to feed the Alcatraz, alligator Alcatraz proponents out there who need more. So it's going to get seen. But I think this is more offensive. I mean, one offends us and should offend everybody. I think the White House being demolished offends a hell of a lot more.
Anything else before we get out of here?
No. Thanks, everyone, for listening to that Trippi show. Thanks, Alex. And for all those of you watching, I really want to thank you. We're trying to do this video thing. I hope it works out for you. Please make sure you join us. It says SEZ.us. It's a civil network for real human beings. And, it's growing, but we need more. This is another one. If you got one friend, get them to join us. The podcast will always be free and is part of Lincoln Square. So check out the latest at lincolnsquare.media. I also have a Lincoln Square news show called Two Joes with Joe Klein. It's a podcast video and on YouTube. So you can try to look for that. Check it out. It's totally different. He and I were friends, but we don't agree on a lot of things. But we do it with by poking fun at each other. Also, if you're listening to this episode on YouTube, please like and subscribe to get alerts when we post the next episode. You can also check us out on the Trippi Takes Substack. Alex is posting a lot there, and we post a lot of these shows and videos there as well. And you can always send us a question, which we're getting to more of them, to thattrippishow@gmail.com, or leave a question in a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching or listening.